so when you guys get me those Sunday nights, I don't want you to think I'm sitting there like a fun chocolate, like, trying to make it work out for you. Like, literally taking notes and like passing them on, or like trying to work on things. And so getting them in Sunday night, I get those emails sent out. I work Sunday nights, I get those emails sent out, or first thing Monday morning, and so the conversation's up and running. And then I come in here with a little bit more clarity around how things went.
What time do you do that?
I work late Sunday nights. Yeah. So I do, my Sunday routine is work in the morning, afternoon, evening, phone off as much as I can, or phone upstairs, which is basically off to me. And then usually around 9:30, I go up and I work for a couple hours just to get a head start into my day. I don't like getting up Monday feeling like I don't know anything that just happened this weekend, and I sort of don't have the luxury anymore of not knowing. Because I get a text Monday morning like, hey, I heard about, and I'm like,
You're like, oh.
I like to go, already heard about it, already working on it.
Yeah.
So Sell It Big announcement at East Valley this weekend. They announced Justin McVay is the new campus pastor there. Is there a weekend that they announced when the transition is like fully complete, or?
No, not specifically. He said he'll be transitioning out over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
So he introduced Justin as a new campus pastor to the entire campus. So I think that's effective.
Did that coincide with, obviously, the initial announcement that he's leaving? Was it the same announcement? Hi, I'm leaving, and here's the new campus pastor. So it was all one time. Okay.
Well,
I just don't know what the time.
He's had some like dessert nights for.
Right. But to the corporate
Yes.
in service, it was both. It was like, bye, and here's okay.
How did that feel?
Yeah. How did that go?
I thought he handled it really well. Adam's like really good with his words and like great communicator. So he was able to share like some sweet moments, reflect, and then he said on the bright side, like you guys are getting a great addition to the family. So it seemed nice, but I talked to DZ because he's there, and he's like, there'll probably need some follow-up conversations of like making it clear he's not leaving Sandals, and he's still be around.
Yeah.
Especially at evening, because he'll be overseeing East Valley. His new role.
Does everyone understand what Adam's new role is?
No.
Me either. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
He's on the same boat.
He's, as Sandals continues to do this, we need more of these. So as we get more and more campus pastors, we can't just have John Brown overseeing 15 campus pastors. So Adam's coming in and he'll have a certain amount of campuses and campus pastors that he oversees. He'll still be reporting to John. He didn't move up to being an executive. And then John will have direct oversight into a few of the other campuses. Which to let you know, as we continue to grow, worship will follow a similar path. We'll have cluster leaders, which will provide another path of growth for people in our team, which I think is awesome because we're also maxing out our span of care in a way, which is good. It's just another growth problem. But it's exciting because, it just means there's more people to bring into the family and care for and bring along. So, you felt good about it?
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Stephen Beck's first weekend leading solo, all together, but solo. Luke said you did a phenomenal job. So, how was it? Did you breathe okay, Steve? I was concerned for you.
Yeah. I called myself a couple of times about ready to pass out, but I just took a few deep breaths.
He's dramatic about the
Just being a drama queen. Every time we went downstairs and walked up, I was like, getting old, like Luke and Daniel, I just want to adopt those guys.
They're great. I was hard to understand that.
Luke is a high too. He's like the ultimate helper. Like what? I'm like, he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know, but thanks for asking again. Like he's just, and Daniel's been great.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, and also I already had that.
And also I read your mind and said, here's your coffee. Oh, thanks.
Seriously. Like honestly, so above and beyond for the last of the
Yeah, I mean, you had a masseuse for us, we got our nails done.
Did you have Jean, Kenny, and Steve?
We had Kenny.
No, we had
I had a boombox
Yeah.
and a tambourine.
I used the
Yeah, I got a little wood block,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that's good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Did you enjoy being with them for the weekend?
Yeah, it
They've
was
been
good.
troopers.
It was
and-
really nice that we were there last weekend as
Yeah.
well. Like, I think for them, it meant that they could kind of leave a little bit.
Was Ian back this weekend?
Yes.
Okay, so he was there to host and
Yeah.
stuff. Cool.
Yeah, it was good.
I love
It
Ian.
was a great weekend.
Yeah, it's great.
We had a good time.
Conversations.
Yeah. San Bernardino, I was there. Devo had his platform audition, which is kind of like the extra step. I thought he did really great in a lot of ways.
Sorry,
Culturally.
Devo.
Devo is the guy that we're interviewing for San Bernardino.
Oh, cool.
We did a panel interview with him, and I have interviewed him. Chris has. The bonus with Devo is how connected he is in San Bernardino. Lives there, ministers there, runs a nonprofit there. Feedback from the congregation was incredible for him. Just what Chris was hearing. We actually went to lunch afterwards just because. If you guys don't know this, my Adam is like the ultimate interviewer for Sandals. So Matt Brown's like, go have at it, like, 'cause he's just an observer and he hears the things you're not saying,
Yeah.
and he's gonna make sure, like, where I'm like, okay, so that's good, so you got that. Adam's like, let's go back to that. Like, he's like, we're not moving away yet. So, true story, we got down the road really far with a pretty high level hire, and everyone was like, and Adam was like, I'm just telling you, it's a no, and here's why. And he's like, I'll support, whatever. We get to the offer stage, and the very thing that Adam said, this is what he's not saying, the guy came back and countered with that very thing.
Wow.
And Sandals just took the offer off the table because the guy wasn't upfront on it. And Adam's like, I could sense it, I could smell it. He's like, a rat. So I better walk the straight and narrow. But I just love for him to observe and talk to Devo, basically in the panel interview capacity, because he's very deep into this nonprofit. But he also brings a ton, many years of worship leading experience. So it's different than a Rogo leader. He's like, never done, like, it's a person who's like, you need to learn how we do it, how he still has a couple more steps in the process. But Chrissy, he mentioned again and again, both of you guys, your support, how supported he felt from the worship side of things. And you guys pulled together and made a small band sound like a big band. So I was really supporting that too. So.
It's becoming your specialty.
So I want to give a couple of just observational coaching things for everybody, and these are not things that I necessarily will always want to be putting in Planning Center, but I had a great conversation this weekend with a campus pastor about standardization versus freedom. Like, where's that line? How much freedom do we have? Pablo reached out to me and said, hey, we have this announcement, probably need to pull a song. I said, I trust you. Like, I trust you as the campus worship leader with that announcement. You do what you think is best for this set. Just being in the know is helpful because, we have volunteers that we're working with who move from campus to campus. Their experience needs to be pretty standardized, which is why communication is so important. So while I trust Pablo to make that decision at the campus level, what I don't want is a person who's serving at East Valley and going, when I'm at East Valley, we do it this way, but then I come here. We can't create that kind of level of frustration for our volunteers. So we standardize the weekend experience as much as we can by over communicating on Planning Center what everyone needs to know going into the weekend. That's standard. We don't move away from that. What's not standardized, but one of the things that I want to see us all take a step of growth towards, I love reading your eval from, is vocal prompting and leading within the set. So we took out real focus transitions, and I'm so glad that we did. I don't miss them because it felt like paragraphs instead of prompts. And we have one talking head for the weekend, which is the message. It's the standalone, and I went over this with campus pastors as well. But here's an example from this weekend. Another in the Fire is a brand new song. So we went from a really familiar song in Yes I Will to a brand new song. That needs a prompt. That's where you prompt people. That's where, over the intro, introducing a new song today called Another the Fire. It's a reminder to you, it's a reminder to me that no matter what we walk through on this earth, we are never alone. It's a song about God's faithfulness. Sing this with me. It takes 10 seconds, but you just brought everybody into so for 2 minutes, both services I attended, one here, one, for 2 minutes, there was a watching, and then there was whereas a prompt can really move people to engagement faster. Okay, so sing this with me. Sing this out. I'm okay if you even don't say, hey, we're interested in a new song, but hey, this next song is called Another in the Fire, and here's what it speaks to. Man, if God's been good to you, God's been with you in the fire, I want to hear you sing this out. And then, once they've sung, what I like to do is once they've sung through the first verse and the first chorus, that's the pattern of the song. That's the pattern. I mean, we sing songs that have patterns because we're leading people who aren't musical, right? So if the song's unpredictable, Adam Workman's like, he doesn't know, like, even when we do King in My Heart, when we do the echo, he's like, what do I do here? Do I sing?
Yeah.
Like, it's confusing for most people. This is so awesome, like, we're singing in rounds. But he's like, do I follow her? Like, it gets distracting, right? So patterns are necessary. So if like, every song's so predictable, good. That means people will sing it. That's a bonus. But what I like to do is once the pattern of the song has been established, then I like to re-encourage people. Now they've heard the pattern's not changing. Now, sing this with me. Like, and just giving those verbal prompts inside the song. At the same time, what you don't want to do is with your verbal prompts, you don't want to keep saying everything they're going to sing. So you can't do, so let's just say, for example, What a Beautiful Name. Sing this out with me. You have no rival. You have no rival. You have no equal. Now forever God you reign. Yours is the kingdom. Yours is. Now it feels like the lyrics ministry failed and we're telling them what's coming next, okay? So you need to, and again, this comes with practice, this comes with time, this comes with comfortability. It's not a bad idea for you to have your loving spouse or someone else grab some video of you leading so you can hear when there's lulls that are too long or when you feel like you're talking too much. Sometimes just inside the moment you don't honestly know. It kind of feels, but when you go back and watch it, you'll go, man, that just felt like 15 empty seconds where I didn't encourage or lead or affirm or bring them into the thing that we're going into. And it goes back to that idea of transitional communication. So it's just an area that we can all kind of put like effort into thinking about. And if you're like, I don't really know like where I fall on the scale, we're working on getting video of every service and every campus. We have a few, but it's iffy right now when they work, when they don't, who in production remember to turn it on, do they upload it to Vimeo, like we have all of those situations. So if you just wanna know for you, and I would encourage this, grab some video, even ask your production lead if they're not running the video, or if you've got your spouse in there, hey, and go back and watch. Does it feel like you're over talking, or does it feel like you're not saying enough? You want it to feel natural, but you have to remember that we're leading people in an experience. So we can't just like take every moment to not say anything, and at the same time not take every moment to say everything, right? It's not like today is my quiet time. No, we're not doing that. I'm not going back to that. Last week when I was at Petco, nope, don't eat like. So we're not doing those, but we're also not just. There's a grace in the heart, and everyone's like, we don't do. I never heard. I'm not sure. San Bernardino jumps in faster than almost any congregation. They're just happy to be there. They laugh at all Matt's jokes. I was at the 615 Hunter Park. They did not laugh at one of Fredo's jokes for the entire message. That service is rough. San Bernardino, they're like, we think he's about to be funny. like he hasn't said it yet. Like they're very like. Here they are. So again, you just have to remember we're leading people and everything can. Lake Arrowhead, very reserved. I went to Lake Arrowhead once when Garrett was leading, and I stood up for a song. And usually, you know how sometimes like, we're standing up. Nope, I was the only one for the whole song. I didn't care. I was like,
Tell them to stand up.
yeah, but I was like, Garrett, like,
Come on, man.
But anyway, so just kind of keep in mind. Lead, be confident in your leadership and just invite people into what you want them to do. And Cash brought fantastic energy to Hunter Park, really, really good.
Yeah.
Made some vocal adjustments, which I asked them to make because they needed to be made. Please don't feel bad coaching throughout the experience. Don't wait till the end of the weekend to tell someone they were pitchy, because what does that do for them now but leave them with a complex that they can't fix. Make adjustments when you need to. If someone's vibrato is too distracting and they can't fix it, split the lead up. Like you take the lead and you give them, like, those are calls that we have to be able to make as leaders because the experience needs to remain excellent and distraction free. So those are just a couple coaching notes from the weekend, but celebrating Stephanie at Merino Valley. Well, here, I do have to tell you guys a little funny thing when I did the evals. The Rogo leaders are like, 5, 5, 5, and the Stephanie's like 3, 3. Like, just how they rate things, it's very funny. We killed it. There was a person, but she came in. Mom's like, I let some things slide. Like, it's so funny to read the two perspectives.
Our follow up, like she called me and I wanted to like apologize because she's like, "How'd you feel?" I was like, this and this and then she's like, "Oh," I'm like, "I'm sorry. It was still awesome. It was still fun."
She's like taking down her party. You're right. There was nothing. The high comes up. Just send the cake back. Sorry. You're right, John. Continue.
It's awesome. Listen, 5, 5, and then Curtis's production eval.
Feel like.
But what I appreciate is they're learning to celebrate first, which is really important because you deflate real
You're
fast.
forgetting about that. Evaluate though.
Evaluate. We need to bring that in. But she did. She evaluated. She was very grateful for your coaching and your leadership. So that was great.
She cried. She was
Right.
Stephanie is like, I love her. I literally love, and you guys, if we would send Anthony Flores to the moon if he read the evaluations. Everyone's like, Anthony! We love every single person wherever he is. It's
Yes.
like, we love Anthony! We need more Anthony! It's like, in all caps.
Yeah.
That was you, that was you, that was also Daniel Gottlob from Palm Pilgrims.
Needs more Anthony.
Needs more Anthony. Anthony Flores! Daniel Gottlob. So, Anthony is
That's right.
apparently a blessing. So, you're blessed, Anthony. So I want to jump into something really quick. I sent you guys an article. If you want to bring it up on Slack so you can look at it. Why owning your senior pastor's vision is so important. David Santisteban, you go a lot of different ways with that. He's a great worship leader to follow on social media if you haven't heard of him. He has really great insights, but he's not like super lengthy and he's not super flashy, which is why I appreciate him. He doesn't have some sort of brand that he's trying to like get famous from. He's legitimately just trying to help worship leaders out in churches of all sizes. But this conversation is an important one because as we continue to grow, one of the things that can happen in a growing church is something that I call vision leak or vision bleed. And I actually met with an elder from a church of about 1,500 several weeks ago, and he was just pumping me for information. Like, so how do you? And I had to be honest and say, your biggest issue right now, the situation that you're in, is you've grown. 1,500 is a big, big church in America, but you've grown by saying yes to everything. So Linda wants a prayer ministry on Sundays at 11. You get a prayer ministry. We need a ministry for single moms with cancer and children with autism. You get to have, like, everyone's got their own thing. And so they're not doing anything really well. Their number of groups has declined because they're so specific and catered and we only meet twice a month, but we meet once. But now they're in this really precarious situation of we need to say no to some things because we've run thin. We're running thin on energy and on resources. But we've said yes to everybody and everything, so now we don't know how to bring it back in without losing people. And financially, if we lose people, that's really bad. It's actually the worst position to be in for a church. But I don't have a lot of great news to share about that other than I would pray for them. And you're going to have to cut somewhere. You're going to have to say no. But the reason why this conversation is so important to me is because when I came here 5 years ago, actually 5 years ago this week, my Caliversary, and my sandals anniversary. But one of the things I felt most frustrated by and confused by was what I felt like is a huge lack of cohesiveness around the vision for worship at our church. I would have conversations, I was like, oh, okay, then I'd go here, but oh, that doesn't sound like, and then I'd, hey, we're gonna do this, and then I'd have a conversation with Matt, like, I hate this, and I was always kind of like, how do we, and I'm an 8, so I had to be like, what the F is going on? That's how I felt inside. But I was trying to build buy-in, so I was not trying to take that approach. But I just felt like we need to hear from our senior pastor. Everyone needs to hear from him, needs to know what he thinks. And even if he changes his mind, which Matt can do and does, his general vision for the worship of our church, every worship leader should know and understand. And understand that we're either working towards that or we're not. And also understanding that he's the driver in the seat, and he's the driver in the car, and we're passengers. We aren't the drivers. So anyway, there was a couple things here. I sent this to Rogo leaders as well. But a couple things that I wanted to just kind of flesh out, and then I wanted to hear from you guys, like what were your aha moments? What were your things, like, I was curious about that. The first one, God has anointed your pastor as the leader of your church. In a recent conversation I had with someone not long ago about, my role in both Cultivate and Worship, it is not hard for me to submit to Matt or Tammy because it was their blood, sweat, and tears that started this place. So I wasn't in my living room with 8 people, pregnant, driving my husband to seminary and teaching in public school, trying to get a church off the ground. That wasn't me. That was them. I wasn't putting the first sound system on my credit card. That wasn't me. I wasn't setting up chairs in the conference room of a hotel. It's their blood, sweat, and tears, and their many years of it being unsexy, not the cool, not the big deal, not that created a place for me. So I don't have a hard time submitting to them. If Tammy overrides my vision for Cultivate, cool, like, we'll do it your way. Matt then goes, I hate that song. I'm like, cool, we're never singing it again. That's just not hard for me because I have a really informed perspective on how I got here. That's not to say that we don't engage in conversation. So I'll go, hey, like, give you guys an example. As we were putting all this effort into Easter, the As You Find Me video worship thing that was like well underway. I get a text one day, Saturday morning, Matt, hey, this is the song I want to do on Easter. It was like the next week after my message. And I was like, okay. I was like, I love this song, could we have a conversation about it? He was like, yeah. You don't like it? I'm like, no, I like it. I just want to have a conversation. And so we sat down to talk about, hey, here's something we've been working on. I will scratch all of that and put all of that on hold right now. This is the song. He was like, no, you have better ideas than I do. That's fine. And he's very much like that when you get to those kind of conversations. Matt's not a micromanager. He feels passionate about what he feels passionate about, and he gets to feel passionate about whatever he wants to feel passionate about. But he's also very willing to engage in dialogue, and so he was like, yeah, no, let's not do that. Let's do your thing. It sounds cooler. It sounds better. That's better. And I appreciate that. He was like, I trust you. Those kind of things. But the first thing that God has anointed your pastor as the leader of your church, I've been in really unhealthy situations with an unhealthy pastor, and I've been here. And that can be a great place to be, and that can be a really hard place. So the first 6 years of our ministries were my desert years. The pastor was extremely dysfunctional and unhealthy, but God had to teach me a lot about submitting or leaving, because God was the ultimate decider on the pastor of the church, and we could not align, and so we left graciously, quietly, respectfully. I did want to flip him off when we left. I was like, babe, getting ready to leave, what if I just turn around and just let's not do that. Okay. So because he was horrible to me, a lot of horrible things happened but again, God's used those for good, which is what he does. But he's anointed Matt as the pastor of our church, and so I regularly check in with him on how do you feel about how worship is going, how do you feel about, and is there anything that you want us to critique or change? When I first started this position, he was texting me several times a week. Why is so-and-so leading that song? I don't think she's like he's really, really ecstatic with where things are now. And I've given so much of the credit to you guys for rallying, for flexing, for adjusting and then moving in a certain direction. So that's huge. But I really want to open the floor to you guys because I want to hear your thoughts just about what you read about and kind of how things struck you. If you had any thoughts, ideas, aha moments, questions.
I've gone through seasons where I haven't supported parts of the vision, and it actually just does terrible things on the inside of you, and you actually just, you feel stuck. You're not, and then when you do actually swallow your own pride and your own whatever's going on, and you do align, it's like when you're driving down from Lake Arrowhead and you find out that your rotors need to be turned and your car's going like this. It's not a good feeling when your wheels are out of alignment.
Yeah.
You've got to align, and I mean it's a beautiful, peaceful, easy feeling when you do.
Yeah.
Like the Eagles.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Let go of your stuff and grab a hold of someone else's vision.
Totally. There's a story in the Old Testament where David and Saul are in a battle, and David has followers and Saul has followers. But Saul's still the king of Israel. And as they're pursuing each other, there comes a moment where David finds Saul completely vulnerable in a cave where he could take out his life. And he doesn't, because he says, I will not touch the Lord's anointed. Like, I could destroy him, I could kill him. He does get David's proud of me because he gets a hem of the, he gets a part of the garment, like, I still got you, Saul. But he did as a way to say, God has still chosen you to be the king of Israel, so until God changes that, until God moves that, I will not dishonor, kill, destroy. And Saul was pretty horrible to David. So I think that that's huge, and understanding that there are unhealthy pastors, there are unhealthy leaders, and we don't have perfect leaders and perfect pastors, but we do have healthy pastors and healthy leaders, and that's something to be grateful for, because even in their humanness, and then within their flaws, there is a deep sense of humility and graciousness from which they lead, which is why, in case this is your first ministry experience, submitting here is not hard. I'm just gonna share from a wealth of, it's not hard. Now, it may feel hard, and I get that. I just want you to know it's actually not. It could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
And in a lot of places, it is.
Yeah. It's funny, I was reading an article and I was going, like, it's so easy. It is so easy. I mean, for us to come in and just go, we love what's going on here.
Yeah.
We love the attitudes when we talk to Matt and Tammy, and when we talk to you, when we talk to what's going on in this place. It's actually easy to align in. There's a real thick slipstream.
Yeah.
You know, it's not this weird, narrow, hard to follow path and like, oh, I've got to keep moving and changing. And yes, there is this agility about this place, but it's only because it's like lengthening, widening of the stream rather than having this weird little.
It's not rapids.
Yeah, it's not rapid. It's beautiful. And like you coming out of something that's like, this is so unhealthy, but learning how to submit anyway. You come into here and you're just like, this. Like, and yes, I'm sure there's gonna be spots where I'm like, oh, but and I'm sure we all have those little bits, but it's just it's beautiful. There's a real open heaven here in the leadership.
When you
Felt like a
disagree,
no-brainer.
when you disagree with someone, that's when you need submission. It's only when you disagree. So you get to this point where you're like, I just don't agree. I'm not happy. And yeah, that's when you need it. You don't actually need to submit often when it's all just going really nicely. It's when it's not going nicely.
One of the things I shared with Devo yesterday as we were talking about the future was I said one of the things that every campus worship leader is they are an ambassador ambassador of vision. You are an ambassador of vision at your campus. And so, if your team at your campus is catching the vision for worship and for Sandwich Church, it's because you're sharing it and you're living it and you're explaining it and you're working it out. If they're not, then, because one of the things we have to say when we bring in worship leaders from other churches are, we know you have the talent, we know you have the ability, we know it's bringing that into the arena, the environment that is Sandals. And here's how we do it here. We're not saying we do it the best, we're not saying we're always trying to figure out what we are doing, but it's within these contexts. And can you bring all of that talent and ability and put it into this place? Not to go about doing it the way that you've always done it, but to submit to a different way and a different mindset. And a multi-site church, that's difficult for someone who's come from one church, like one building, one location, and that's hard. That's hard for people to sometimes, wrap their arms around. But it shows tremendous growth and maturity and agility on the part of people who can go, I'm the ambassador of vision at Moreno Valley. I'm the ambassador of vision at Eastvale. I'm gonna carry that torch, and I'm going to lead effectively so that my team begins to embrace this vision and understand why excellence matters and collaboration and our core values and what that looks like and how we infuse people with that. What would you say, as we continue to grow, what are some of the, what are some of the honest growing pains at the campus level? Like from network to campus, what are some of the things that we still need to work on, to tweak, to make clearer, to make better?
We actually had a multi-site meeting last week that a lot of us were in, and seemed very honest. One of the things that I've felt over the last however long I've been at Woodcrest, 6 months, 7 months, is sometimes there's this confusion between network direction and campus pastor. Where's the autonomy? Where does it begin? Where does it end? And those things, I understand that the tensions have to be managed, but I think the hard part has been where I've had to be the liaison or the communicator to my campus pastor of we're doing it this way, and he's like, what? Because I'm not his boss, and I'm not trying to be. But I think that part is just a growing pain where we're trying to sort out where does the communication need to happen over me, and then what is my responsibility? Even with our conversation this past week, Pablo sent a couple of us a message saying you're doing the transition from Pastor Fredo's message into Living Hope. I totally forgot it was on. But I knew not every worship leader was, and when I told Pastor Tim, hey, I was told I'm doing that transition, but I didn't know context, and he goes, oh, is every worship leader doing that? And I was like, oh. And so I messaged Pablo, and then your answer was there's so much clarification, and it wasn't a personal thing, so it was here's the people that aren't and all of that, but it just felt really awkward for me to give him here's what's happening. And he is willing to hear me, but it just feels because of the liaison component, it's just not totally sorted out.
Yeah.
And so I think that communication, I wish he heard that from someone above me before. So yeah, I think that's just part of growing pain, and I'm willing to totally write it out. It's just created some awkward moments.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's good feedback. Other network campus growing pains, things we need to improve, make better, make more clear.
Well, I can speak, I'm not campus leader, but I think just from the last few weeks, which I shared in my email, that
Krista wrote diarrhea twice.
I'm really sorry.
I was this is really
That was
long.
long.
You guys, I
She started
diarrhea
writing
way
it.
too much.
she started writing hers while I was tearing down all my stuff.
I was like,
She was like,
Put it
Nelly, I'm
together.
sorry, this is so much.
And then I finished taking down my gear, wrote mine, and then I'm like, are you gonna finish?
I'm sorry, I'm not done yet.
I had to turn the
I've
page
gotta
on
get
the
it
computer.
I'm sorry.
Why was there so much trying to
I'm sure,
She
I'm
doesn't
sure
want to
you're
say.
right. Yeah, no, I just think that like the production, I think that my experience was that Aaron seems to be doing a really good job at trying to coach his team. I even heard, I relayed this to Luke, that even after when I was tearing down in the back room, he was like kind of scolding his boys, that's what I like to call them, because they're kind of like that.
Is there 5 and
Well,
6?
they're really like high schoolers.
Yeah,
so
and he was basically scolding them on how they speak to one another in front of the team, because they do that, they like banter
Yeah.
in the meeting,
Yeah.
and everyone's like,
I'm raising one.
what's happening?
It's
So
really
he's
fun
really-
to watch,
it
but it's
is.
just not
It's
good.
very
Like it's hilarious. Like it's like they're like stop man. Like anyway, we're gonna be doing like oh stop. Like it's
Yeah.
watching high schoolers interact, but
Yes.
and, yeah.
Yeah.
If you can remove the
So-
context, it's hilarious, but it's just not.
Yeah,
good
so
for-
I mean, I felt like seeing that, I know he's really trying to like coach them. However, in the execution of the actual job of being, you know, the lead on lights, the lead on front of house, like all the jobs, like they're not getting the jobs done. And I'd say I have a pretty decent experience at San Bernardino, cause I was there for like 12 weeks straight, and then
40 years.
every other week, and then not, and then now I've been back, and I feel like in all that experience, they've always been in training, like almost every,
Yeah.
this is over the past like 10 months, they're always in training. So,
Which I think a
Sorry.
long training
Sorting
isn't
that out.
inherently bad, but
Yeah.
if you're not getting to a different
Not
place, like
doing-
the training's not doing something,
Yes.
so,
let's start.
oh, no, all that to say, that would be a growing pain, because we're figuring out as we grow how to build a really essential, like, I would argue, one of the most essential teams to a campus is the production team. So how building that team is really important, getting the right people in there, even like 2 people that are efficient is better than 6 that are not. I don't know, so just figuring that out, but then also like being kind in the process, you know, like I have a problem, not a problem, well maybe it's a problem, but like you were saying, your inner voice, like I'm always taming that down, like fighting that
Yes.
down. Like I just wanna be like, what's going on?
I want to see you do that one
And
day.
I didn't do it.
Sorry.
And then Aaron gave me a card. He was like, "Thank you for always being so calm." And I was like, "Oh."
You gave both of us
Later.
cards.
He's
I-
the greatest.
I know,
He
he's
is
better.
amazing.
He
Oh my-
offered lunch like he's the greatest. This is what I did after you got sent it to Luke and Isaiah. And I said, and the reason why, the bigger context for this conversation is because I reached out to 3 campus pastors in this conversation, because what I'm creating is a document that shows network campus responsibilities. So the network needs to ask campus pastors, what do you see your primary goal with your staff? And it's care, it's development, it's leadership. And we need to be about supporting, resourcing, and equipping. So the network needs to provide, Aaron has the hours to do a training outside of Thursday and Sunday. And then beyond that, he can, the second part of his training can happen on Thursday. Thursday can be a time to train someone on lights and train someone on presentation. But from today forward, we don't use run through to train anybody on anything. Nothing. That's going out to everybody. It's going out to every campus pastor, production, worship. Run through is for run through. That's it. Right there.
That was my I'm sorry.
That was your
like,
diarrhea.
diarrhea.
That's the main point.
That was the main point. And this is just an idea. Can Aaron do the job? Like, can he run the meeting? Like,
Aaron can run the
can
training,
he?
but what I think
Well, like
the network,
pre-service meeting though, front of
Like
house,
Aaron,
like key positions.
Like, I want to know Aaron is in, like, back there. When I see him back there, I feel better. When I see him in the front row, I feel nervous. cause I see all the boys back there like headbanging and like,
Yeah,
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 and
just
I'm
like
just
dabbing random
Oh, sorry.
So there's gonna be Instagrams
Look,
follow
dude,
with Aaron
what's
this week
Okay.
to celebrate, but evaluate, so that we don't deflate.
I'm trying to, I did celebrate.
But we need to inflate the but I'm gonna put out the run through information today for everybody. Thursdays,
Correct.
prior to Thursdays, and every production week now has the hours. Adrian to Rachel to everyone has the hours. Andrew is up to 25. He has the hours to do trainings for volunteers. So follow-up conversation from me to Isaiah now is teach them how to do a training. They need a training manual that we can create. We can create this in the next week. They go, here's what you're doing. Here's a step by step. Because then I get, Matt Cash, who's like Hunter Park is run so well. That's a production comment. That's what he's saying. He's alluding to. He led the platform, but he's saying Penny is leading so well her team. So we need to make that in every campus kind of a deal. So that's where network production though has to be present and has to be leading the way. So this document that I'm working on, obviously I know your perspective, I know production leads, I get all the production evaluations now from the weekend. So that's fun to sit there and go, oh, she thought it was great. He's like, no. They're very much like, they love you guys. Like they love worship leaders. They give you guys 4s and 5s and, almost all the time. Their frustration is lack of communication. So Palm PM, they decided to change the song. Production didn't know. They're scrambling to get lyrics meeting. That's not fair to them. That's not setting them up for success. That's a worship leader's problem. That's a worship leader's fault. That's their bad. They need to never do that again. So those are the kind of things that we work out by reading these evaluations. But this document will hopefully provide clarity in terms of here's what the network is responsible for, and here's what the campus pastor is responsible for. And as it pertains to the weekend service, the network provides all of the direction for that service, and the campus is expected to execute those components with excellence. And again, the template that I talked about in our meeting last week, picture production, the actual website where everybody can go and receive that direction. But to your point, we do need to make sure that those kinds of communications either come from me or come from so that you don't want to be put in that position where you feel like you're telling your campus pastor, here's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be put in that spot. That's not a fair position for you to be in. So that's just a communication piece that we need to clean up on our end. So, but that's good feedback. Yes.
You go.
Just another growing pain, which isn't super directly tied to worship, but kind of, is that it seems like sometimes like our campus pastor's vision is a little bit not conflicting with Matt's vision, but kind of distracting from it and pulling from like our resources to be able to do that well. I understand I guess I'll be more frank. I understand that this year, we're trying to do less things really well. At Moreno Valley, it seems completely the opposite. And with us just losing a staff member and spreading that out amongst everyone, it is not a good time at Mobile right now, staff-wise. And going home with one of them isn't. But it's just I feel like I don't have as much capacity to really focus on what I'm supposed to do, and I'm not even directly involved in a lot of it. But the thing is, it's I'm just sitting there this is backwards. This isn't what we're supposed to do. So I'm reading this, and I'm with you that it's my thing about Sandals is I have no problem submitting to Pastor Matt's vision. I still work with different churches other times, and I thank God every single time that I love Sandals. Our vision, the way that we do excellence and everything, it's great. But then like it's like the campus thing where like I just like there it seems like it does the kind of thing, and that growing pain is kind of seems to really be affecting our team right now. So
That's really important feedback too, because this is from a worship pastor at one location, you know? So to own a senior pastor's vision when you're the worship pastor is as opposed to, I totally support your mission, but this is my campus pastor and there needs to be alignment in.
and even just some the way like things are done, I'm like I don't want to step out of my lane like and be like that. I don't think that's like how we're supposed to do that thing, but like sometimes I have that thought and it's like I don't think that's how that's done. You know, but like also I want to submit to him. I want to submit to Pastor Matt. And it's just a weird thing. It's messy.
But thank you for sharing that, because this is how we learn to get better. Tallest Tim.
Tallest Tim. The
We will stay as tall as Tim. Thanks, Maggie.
those are my friends. The campus launch process as it pertains to worship, coming out of like having just experienced that for a long time, we've been able to rely on a shared kind of mentality of musicians and singers and leaders. You know, launching with Palm, where it's like the next weekend 1,000 people are there, and some of the, you know, and I hear Danielle talk about having to like tell people that we don't have enough inputs for you this week, and I'm like, see, this isn't always what it's going to be, but that launch looked very different than Eastvale, where there are musicians that they don't want to drag you into Eastvale, and I'm like, oh wow, that's a 10. He's like, I'll do it once, but it's an hour away. So just the recognition of when we launch from zero to campus, meaning there's no pre-existing team that you're merging with, there's nobody there already, and our pipeline is there, but like it's gonna be one leader probably, right, that's gonna go, and then anyway, so finding a way to not rely, because soon we're gonna really feel it. Soon it's gonna be like, we don't have anybody on the team, it's a guitar and it's a, you know, whatever maybe. So just knowing that we've just been able to get by for a long time.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of being with production, when you launch from nothing to all of a sudden, you're in a school or whatever, and maybe it's a smaller campus, 200 people is what we're running on a good weekend now, that's kids and adults. At the beginning, you don't have the production volunteers maybe because the people just aren't coming out and saying we want to do that, but we had a lot of network support. And then when we had the people and they needed the training, the network had kind of been basically backed away at that point. So it's a reverse mentality of a lot of our teams, they throw everybody's there at the beginning, but you may not even have your people in place yet on teams, volunteer wise. And then when we needed them to get the training, they'd come to the end of we're gonna move on to the next thing. And
Yeah.
so
I wonder, is there any sort of campus launch evaluation that is circulated, that it's
Yeah.
not just
No,
for
I-
the launch weekend,
that's a great
but
question.
the 6-week process of
Yeah.
like getting up onto your feet?
I'm sure that I have never seen anything or been asked even how this has felt, that's a whole different kind of other thing. There's a scope of things that even like materials, equipment, we had this is example, this last weekend, a couple of the launch teams showed up, and this was like, I feel bad, because I mean, they showed up with all this equipment for PATH. First we heard of it, we bought the equipment. We bought the table, we put the tablecloths up, like they're rolling in a TV, and the PATH leaders are like, we don't need that till the week 7. So anyway, it's just, there's a lot of stuff where like, even communication wise there, now these guys are frustrated because they showed up on a Sunday morning to bring stuff that we'd already bought, and nowhere we don't see the scope, we don't know what the remaining items are, so that's a growing pain of rapidly scaling, where they're literally making this up as they go, and that's fine, we get that, but I don't even know, and I mean, I'm able to even see more of it because I'm in the supervisor role as well, and so I'm seeing, and Jonathan and I are talking about everything that's happening as it pertains even to the network and campus relationship, but
Would you, for me, fill out from a worship production standpoint what that whole celebrate,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
Here's what's gone well,
Yeah.
here's where we felt supported, here's where we didn't have it.
Yeah.
Because for the stuff I'm creating, I think campus launch is another aspect. And what's good is that Menifee is, is up to run soon, but we're not launching in Fresno, just so you guys know, until 2020. Like, we're looking at like January for Fresno. We're trying to launch Fresno in the fall, which is a blessing for everybody as we figure that piece out. Just to kind of throw this out there,
Yeah, who's moving to Fresno?
Life Church, we've learned a lot from Life Church, how they've grown. When Life Church launches a campus, they launch one full-time position in worship production combined into one role. That's how they get a person to do it, because it's a full-time job. What we run into is part-time jobs in Fresno.
Yep.
Why am I moving to Fresno for a 15-hour-a-week job? When it's worship production and they learn, both lanes, then it's a full-time job, and that's how they scale. That's why I say just throw it out there. Let's pray. No.
It's the worship leader and production leader like combined.
So the worship leader is the stage person, but they spend the week prepping the slides, the slide deck, creating set. Life Church pays their musicians, so they don't have to build a team of volunteers for the worship. They just have contract musicians, so they move to the town.
Yeah.
Hey,
You just hire whoever's there. Yeah.
that guy could be banging 50 women Friday night, but he's playing on Friday morning. I mean, that's the reality. They don't have.
Wow.
That's a completely different model.
Different spirit.
I just sorry that I went real Jersey, but I'm just saying.
Wow.
Amber, stop recording. But I just feel like Matt Brown would say something like that, so I probably won't get in trouble.
Yes.
Yes, one kind of go. So they contract musicians, and then they build production volunteers. So that's how they scale. So it's one person who has a band, and then they build the production things during the week, and then they kind of usually send out a production person for the first few weeks, and then they build that team of volunteers with their musicians are all paid. So that's how they scale and grow at the way that they do it. And they're now across the country, pretty much. So
Did you like that more?
I don't know. There's things I like about it. The thing I like the least is contract musicians, because I like musicians who are bought into our vision. There's something really, to watch Jason Ransom worship, there's something about that. There's something about seeing Clayton Chavez, like the way he plays the bass in his worship. It's the mentality that everyone on stage is a worship leader. I love that. That comes with so many challenges, which, scaling is one of those. So yeah, but be praying about Fresno. We have we have a lot of applications for worship leader, honestly, from all over the place. But most people aren't looking for part-time work, and our campus worship leaders are mostly part-time. We have some robo leaders. You guys have had a lot of input into kind of we had a great bullpen. Matt, Eddie, Christina Morgan run a fantastic bullpen training. That was Josh Baker, Joanna, Lauren, Emily, and Mandy. So lots of potential there. I see a ton of potential in Emily Harrell, a ton in Joshua Baker, ton in Joanna. So just super excited about that. I mean, our pipeline is full and it continues to become fuller, which is we've got applicants in, tons of applicants for the residency for 2020, ton of applicants for Robo School. So I think that's awesome. I think we'll leave on this. I really appreciate your feedback, and I'm gonna take that on, move that upwards. But one of the things that, as you have robo leaders on your teams, as you have bullpen leaders on your teams, I'm gonna be in there in 2 weeks to have a conversation with them. If you aren't hungry, don't apply for a job with the worship team at Sandals Church, because I'm not gonna hire you. If you want the perfect seat at the table, you should find another place to work. this is a mega church. It's one of the largest, fastest growing churches in the country. And if you're 20, 21, 22 years old, and you get a seat at the table, be really grateful that you have a seat at the table. Because if that perspective is lost on you, then this isn't gonna go well for you. Because it's a growth path and it's a process. Your growth this past year has been phenomenal, Taylor. And you've taken every bit of feedback and evaluation and coaching, and you allowed it to make you better. So your trajectory just is gonna continue to go up. But when I sit down with a young leader, and who I love, and I'm grateful for, but who I also will kind of slap in the back of their head a little bit, because I'm just so passionate about songwriting. Awesome. I'm passionate about Hawaii. There's not a job there for me. Like, you have to deal with reality. You have to deal with what's real and what's available. And what I'm offering you is a seat at the table. And I want you to grab that. I want you to go, yeah, if it's sandals, I'm in. Like, I'm going. If it's sandals, here I go. Like, that's what we want to see, because you can train and you can lead a person who's hungry and passionate and driven. What I can't lead and what doesn't work is a person who's passive, ungrateful, and entitled. That's just not gonna work. You probably should go apply at Chick-fil-A. Like, it's just not gonna work here. And so I'm gonna, in love, say the truth, because I'll bring a less talented, hungry person to the table every day of the week. Because we can help you get better. Like, look around this room. We can help you get better. You're not hungry, or you feel like this is what, then you should probably be at. Maybe you should go to MAG, or I don't know, like, you should not be here. It might not work out for you here. But as you coach these young leaders, let them understand, let them hear from you. You gotta be hungry. You need to be driven. You need to be passionate. A seat at the table here is a big deal. And man, you wanna talk about growth, you wanna talk about the chance to build something, you wanna talk about the chance to really eventually be sitting in the place that you wanna sit in. There's a billion churches out there, but they're not developing leaders. They're just not. So just be excited about that and be casting vision for that, because young leaders need to hear it. You know, I'm telling it to my own kids. I was like, well, I'm just gonna lead worship at Santa. I'm like, maybe. Like, you're gonna work. You're gonna have to work for that. That's just gonna fall into your lap. My son's like, well, I'm just gonna buy a car. I'm like, well, what money, son? Like, you're gonna have to work for that. When you're a new worship leader with not a lot of experience, and you want a seat at this table and you get one, you better be really grateful that you got one, because there's seasoned worship leaders everywhere, okay? And that's just something we need to just understand and wrap our minds around, and be loving but be truthful at the same time. So coach these leaders to be hungry and be driven and to be passionate and to want it and to grab it and to not wait for what's perfect or what they really feel the Lord's calling them to. He might be calling you to find that somewhere else then. That's just the reality. So I'm passing that on to you first, so that you can be ambassadors of vision as you go out, and as you meet with them, as you mentor them. You need to say, how hungry are you? How passionate are you? How driven are you to this? How married are you to this vision and to being a part of this? Because here's what that's gonna look like, and I'm gonna share that with them. But it's good to just start planting those seeds even now as they come to your campuses, you interact with them and things like that. So there's not this elusive, perfect position that's sitting over here that I'm just holding up like going, you. Like, it's just, we're all working hard, we're all working towards things and growing as we get there. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you for filling your evals, and hope you have an awesome week. Tim Holly, would you pray for us?
Yes, of course.